Do you want to make an axe or make the blood god smile again? No, of course not, because that would be considered a heresy. But if you were, this is how you would do it. Step 1. You want to base the entire blade in Abaddon black. You want to make sure that your black is not too thick going on, so you want to make sure that your paint is slightly watered down with some water first. Step 2. We're going to get Doomfire Magenta Red. Now we want to dilute the color so that it's not so strong on the blade, and we're going to do this with water. We want to do about 2/3 contrast paint, about 1/3 water. It doesn't need to be perfect, but we just want to have a diluted color. We're going to focus first along that edge of the blade. You want to make sure you get a decent area on there. Next, we're going to do the little power conduits as well as those little fuller areas on the blade, which is those little sunken in kind of hole areas on the blade itself. We want to make sure that you're doing larger areas because this is going to be the darkest glow on the blade. Now we're going to go back to the Doomfire Magenta Red, and we do not want to dilute it, so it's just going to be the pure color. And you're going to want to focus on those little power conduits. You want to make it just a little bit brighter with that pure contrast paint. We don't want it to be as big as you did with that diluted color. And this is the time where you want to focus on those little lightning bolts. Now you want it to be a decent sized lightning bolt, but just not too big, because this is going to be the darkest glow for that lightning bolt. You want to start the power conduit and you want to work your way all the way up to the tip of the blade. Now for the blade, you can also make that a little bit more red with that Doomfire Magenta Red as well. Next, we're going to use Mephiston Red. You're going to want to water this down just slightly with a little bit of water so it goes on easy on the blade. You're going to use the edge of your brush and you're just going to go along that entire edge of that blade, making sure you get it all in that Mephiston Red. Now, if this was the edge of the blade, how it's kind of like at an angle, you want to paint just about half of that with the Mephiston Red as well. Now for those little power conduits, you want to do a little bit around it, and then you want to go over those little lightning bolts that you did earlier in the previous step. Hello there. As you may know, the official Nuka Kitten Guardsman store is now operational. You can get mugs. Delicious! You can get overly sized stickers. And this. An overly sized Ogron mouse pad. If the store is not visible for you, may the light of the Emperor reach you, because you're going to need it. Now let's get back to the tutorial. We are now going to use Evil Sunz Scarlet. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did before. We want to make sure the paint is just slightly watered down until it's ink-like substance. And you want to go over the areas that you just did in that Mephiston Red, but in smaller sections, because we want to have a gradual glow so that the lightning bolts really look like it's glowing on that blade. Now it's time to really make it glow. We're gonna use Emperor's Children or just a light pink. We're gonna water it down just slightly so it's an ink-like substance, so that way it's gonna be easier to do all that little stuff on there. You're gonna get the edge of your brush and you wanna focus on that entire edge of that blade, just going on the edge of your brush like this. Now if this is your blade on the axe, you can use that side of your brush, and instead of going like this to get the edge, you can do it at a slight angle, and it's just gonna touch that surface on the front of the blade so that's a little bit more visible with that pink. Now for the power conduit, again, like the other step, we want to focus in that area, make it bright around it, but in a smaller section, and then we're gonna go over all of those little lightning bolts, but you don't need to be complete. We want the lightning bolts to be brighter towards the power conduit, so make sure those areas are deeper in there, as well as on the edge of the blade. And if areas of the lightning bolt connect where they branch off, you can make these areas a little bit brighter in that pink as well. Now, to really seal in this glow effect, we're gonna use a pure white. We wanna water this down just slightly until it's an ink-like substance. This way it's gonna be easier to go on. We're gonna focus first on the edge of the blade. You're just gonna wanna use the side of your brush to get that entire edge of the blade in that pure white. Next, you're gonna go to the power conduit and you just wanna do a slight circle around it. For the lightning bolts themselves, you want it to be stronger near the power conduit, the edge of the blade, and where they branch off. You wanna make sure they're just a little bit more white in the area or just a little bit stronger. I like to go over the lightning bolts just slightly in that pure white, but you don't want it to complete it in those areas. You just kind of want it to be natural and just kind of gradually fade off in some areas or be a little bit weaker with the white lines. Now for those fuller areas or those little holes in the blade themselves, I just use the side of my brush to kind of hit all of those areas in the pure white. Now for the little hole themselves, I just stuck the brush completely in there and I gave it a good swirl to kind of get those edges in the pure white as well. Remember, it's heresy not to like and subscribe to this video. And if you want even more content, check out my gaming channel at Nuka Kit and Gaming. Bye!